Hello, happy campers. This is Tony from Stressless Camping, and I have for you today the first of a two-part series about the short and long-term future of towing, travel trailers, tow vehicles, and electricity. And who better to bring onto this video than my friend Mike Sokol, who is the RV electricity expert from RVelectricity.com. So let's talk the future of towing and travel trailers. Well, it is very exciting to have my good friend Mike Sokol, the RV electricity expert, back with us here on the Stressless Camping podcast. And Mike is fiddling around with some cool stuff as he always does, but it's things that I think even normal people might be interested in.
I like that. Even normal people, and that puts me in the not normal category, doesn't it?
When we talk, I know Peggy sometimes just it's like, what are you guys talking about? And you know, she's not here to be our supervisor because golly, knows so much about RV electricity and all of that, and you study it and such that it's above a lot of people, but you're able to explain it so that it's not.
So we're running amok. Is that it?
That's exactly right. Well, the first thing I thought we'd talk about is you got a bunch of new toys, but more specifically, one that I'm really intrigued. Well, they're all ones I'm really intrigued about, but an F-150 with the Pro Power aboard.
Right. They call it the Power Boost.
Okay. Basically
the F-150 Power Boost with the Pro Power generator, 7.2 kilowatt generator built in. Yes, I know a lot now. I don't know everything yet because they took it back in 2 weeks. But who did I know that they got to borrow it? A rider, he got to borrow it for 4 hours.
Wow. So you got that and you towed with it.
I towed. Yeah. I towed all over the place with it. They told me I could do anything with it except I couldn't have any dogs in it and I couldn't smoke in it. But if I wrecked it, it was okay.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, that's those press vehicle loans. That's pretty much what they say.
Don't smoke cigarettes. Don't take your smelly dogs in there. Do whatever you want.
Yeah,
good enough. I'm on it.
And so for the people who aren't following this, what exactly is that truck? Obviously, it's a Ford F-150. Everybody knows what that is. But
right,
it's more than that.
It really is. Okay, so this is dipping their toes into the Ford, into the pickup truck hybrid market. So this is a what we would call a hybrid gas electric vehicle with heavy on the gas, light on the electric. But the thing that it does, it's really super interesting. It has a 35 kilowatt motor in it, electric motor that combines with the main gasoline engine, which happens to be the 3.5 liter V6 with the twin turbo. And that by itself is pretty cool, but you have a button on the dash that you push. And when you do, the motor turns into an inverter generator and it's worth a real 7,200 watts. And back in the bed is a little box that you open up, and it has a pair of duplex outlets, just like regular 20 amp outlets, and it has a twist lock 30 amp 240 volt 120 240 split phase, just like you would have on a 7,000 watt Honda generator or any of those other things. And it works. It's pretty cool because that truck, they say, I didn't have the chance to really try this. But if you're drawing a steady 2,400 watts from it, and I did try that, the gasoline engine will start and stop and recharge the traction battery in there, which is not huge. It's 1.5 kilowatt hour, enough to drive you through town for a few miles. But it will run, they say, for 85 hours at idle. They rate it to just idle this thing for days. Or for, I think they said 35 or 40 hours or something like that at a 7,000 watt load. Again, for days with a 7,000 watt load. It's a 120, 240 volt split phase which if you guys don't know what that means, it allows you to put a Y splitter on there and you could power 2 RVs at a campground with this.
Yeah. So
days.
the bottom line is the truck is a generator per se.
The truck is a generator. And it will work while you're driving down the road. That's one of the first questions I asked him. And the one guy said, well, I'm not sure. Go ahead and try it. And the other guys, and so I put, you probably have seen pictures of me. I have a 10,000 watt load bank, basically a big fancy little space heater that you can turn on in 1,000 watt increments. I cranked it up to 7,000 watts, put the appropriate connection on it, and then drove this thing down the road, towing a GeoPro trailer behind me with power running. So in theory, if you had the proper breakaway connections, and you'd have to make sure you did all of this correctly, you could fully power your RV, even a 240 volt, 50 amp service while you're driving.
Yeah, isn't that's so you could run your refrigerator and the
air conditioner. Now, do not be tempted to put the kids back in the trailer while you're driving down the road. We would never, ever condone that. That's not a thing.
No.
But you could say start it up 2 hours before you get to your campground, and then your air conditioner and everything would be, your inside of your RV would be nice and cool. Your ice cream would be, ice creamed properly. Your beer would be properly beer cold, because there's
appropriate for me.
All of that there stuff. So it is pretty amazing, and it's absolutely seamless. So when you're driving, if you don't have the generator turned on, when you put your foot in it, it is 2 engines pulling at the same time. The gas engine and the electric engine. This thing kicks, it goes like a rabbit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So the neat thing is this would be great for boondocking also, because you've got a generator without having to haul a generator.
Right. And it's quiet. It's like below 50 dB. It's quieter than an inverter generator. And you don't have any stuff you don't have any gasoline that you got to dump in. It's the fuel already in your tank. They say that when you get down to the low emergency, part on your fuel gauge, it'll run for 30 minutes more and then shut down so that it doesn't run you completely out of gas.
Stuck.
Yeah, a little stuck. But the thing is interesting, what Ford built this as, is they said, as a contractor truck. So during the week when you have, let's say, you've got your contractor buddies out there, or you've got this gig that you're doing that you would normally need a construction generator, you can plug an arc welder or a compressor or a bunch of hand tools or whatever you want into this thing. And then what you can do is on the weekends, you could hook up your trailer and your buddy could follow you, and you could go boondocking in the woods with you and your buddy, and you could take the kids fishing or put your dirt bikes in it or do whatever you want and do that for days.
Well, heck, you could charge electric bikes.
You could charge anything with this. And the third thing that you can do, and I'm getting ready to do an experiment and prove this, you could, if you had the proper type of a generator connection going into your house, you could power your house for days off of this if you had a power outage.
Yeah, that's the other thing, especially here in Northern California and of course in Texas. Apparently, after that Texas power thing hit, they sold completely out of these things.
Oh yeah, tons of people. And I got to tell you, the thing that's interesting, that once you have the power boost option or whatever, this 7,000 watt option is only like another $700 on top of all the other stuff. So it's like a $66,000 truck, which is not insignificant, but I see guys that pay way more money than that. Now, this is an F-150, and you still have within your limitations, but it's rated to tow like 11 or 12,000 pounds. I would personally never tow a 12,000 pound trailer with an F-150. It just ain't there. But, if you had a weight transfer hitch on there, I would be absolutely comfortable with a 6,000, 7,000 pound trailer. They were very excited when I took this to the Airstream show here last month, because just about any Airstream short of the big massive ones would easily fit within 6,000 pounds.
And I think that's where you powered 2 travel trailers, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. First I powered a I guess I can't remember how big of an Airstream it was. It was pretty big, 32-ish. I can't remember all the model numbers. The thing that was really silly about that was, I had it all set up. I had my big thing in the back, doing my test on it, demonstrating it. I said, I'm going to go ahead and plug it into this trailer, because they had actually brought one specifically. Airstream had brought one for me to play with, and I'm going to go hook this in. And one guy's looking at it. He goes, well, that's a 240 volt plug. I said, yep, it's a standard split phase 120, 240. And he goes, if you plug it into that Airstream, you're going to burn up that Airstream. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I said, it's okay. It's going to be all right. He goes, you need to talk to that no shock zone guy, because he'll tell you how this works. And I said, I am the no shock zone guy. And he goes, oh, really? And this is not going to blow it up? I said, nope, it's not going to blow it up. We plugged it in. We ran it successfully all day. And then I had a second one hooked onto it to a pair of 30s over there, just playing with it. Well, I had already done this at home. I had powered up both my Geo Pro and my Safari Condo Alto at the same time, both 30 amp, and plugged them in. I was plugging in and just playing around with all kinds of stuff. I was having a blast. It's kind of neat. It already does have a bonded neutral ground connection in it. I had a couple guys complaining that they were having troubles with the GFCIs tripping stuff out, but that's an issue you have with any travel trailer when you plug it into a GFCI into the 20s. But I only had it for 2 weeks. I was just like slamming and banging and changing all kinds of stuff. But I would love for Ford to loan me one for an extended period of time.
And if memory serves, I think it is rated to tow 11,000 pounds.
Something like 11,000 pounds, right?
And it's a 1,600 pound cargo carrying capacity.
Something like that. So it's not massive.
No,
not massive.
It's still a half-ton truck.
Still a half-ton truck. I did talk to my guys over at Kurt, and they've sent me a big load equalizing hitch to try as soon as I get another one of these to play with. I with the Geo Pro, with the Rockwood Geo Pro toy hauler, without any toys in the back, the tongue is designed to be heavier than normal, because they're expecting you to put 1,000 pounds of junk in the back, which I did not do. So now this is why I need to justify some dirt bikes and a 4-wheeler and stuff.
Yeah. Well, electric. Talk to Rich from Rich Rebuilds. He built an electric dirt bike.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's a blast. He's done some fun stuff. So
well, back when I was a kid, I used to race dirt bikes around.
Yeah, you could charge the trailer, and we'll talk about that Geo Pro. That's coming up, but you could charge that trailer, and you could charge a dirt bike, that electric dirt bike, and you get there, and you're set.
And you're set. Talk about really cool stuff. And, like I said, the other beauty of this is a number of campgrounds, they do not want you to be running generators. But this thing is not a generator. It's an engine idling. And in reality, it's a much cleaner exhaust because it's going through a catalytic converter. It's super quiet. It'll run forever because this is you've got a 3.5 liter engine, gasoline turbocharged engine, driving a 35 kilowatt generator, creating a 7,200 watt inverter output. So everything's just,
it's big.
It's big. It'll run forever. I got people saying, I'll never let my engine idle like that because it'll all clog up. And, I said, look, you're so 60s and 70s like this. You don't get it. I used to rebuild engines starting back in the 60s. I mean, I was a motorhead. And back in the day with a carbureted engine, you would always have spark plugs clogging up if it idled. You would wash down gasoline down the cylinder walls and contaminate the oil. Modern engines are designed, they could probably idle for 1,000 hours and they just don't care because they completely readjust.
Yeah, this whole system is designed to idle. And you would also describe there are provisions so that you don't have somebody in the campground hearing your truck at idle and basically going,
take it.
Thank you.
No. So that's the first thing I asked. And as soon as you can take the keys out of it, the fob, and walk away with it, it locks all the doors. And
Huh.
even if somebody were to break in, I had the windows down, you get in and you try to drive it away, it just shuts it down immediately if you don't have the fob in it. It'll run idle forever, but it will not allow them to take your pretty new truck.
Yeah, and you had also described how the starter on this, modern cars, if you haven't driven a modern passenger car, many of them now shut their engines off at a traffic signal. So
Right.
that's very common.
It's some belt driven thing. There's no Bendix. It doesn't have a ring gear on the flywheel or what. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It just goes whoosh and it just starts up. So it's designed to start and stop the engine hundreds of times a day. And in fact, you can drive all around town with this thing without the gasoline engine ever running. It'll go for miles.
Yeah, so it's about the equivalent. If you get 100 amp hour, like a Lion Energy battery, it's about the equivalent battery of 1.5 of those. If I'm not
Exactly.
mistaken, right?
Exactly right. And the other beauty of this is when you're backing the thing around to hook up, there's no exhaust fumes puffing in your face.
Oh,
Because it's
so the
moving
engine's
around
off.
electrically. Yeah, engine's off. The engine's
Interesting.
off.
Oh, that drives my wife nuts. When we are hooking up the truck, our new truck has dual exhaust, so we each get in the
Oh
morning.
golly, you get it hit. You both. Well, this doesn't care, and it will start and stop. So if you don't have an excessive load on it, it might start up and run for a minute, and then the engine's off for like 3 minutes or 4 minutes while it's just running off the battery. And it's very, very well integrated. I mean, it truly is. If you put a 7,000 watt load on it, after a minute or two, the engine will step up to high idle, and it takes care of all of those things. I was not able to hurt it. I mean, I put an 8,000 watt load on it, which lasted for a couple of seconds, and then it just popped, and just like a inverter generator, any modern one, it just clicked off, and you can see inside. You may have pictures on my dashboard there. It shows you a couple little how many watts are running on each side of the thing. It has a 120 volt courtesy outlet. 20 amp outlet right there on the dashboard.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Which I thought was kind of neat. Now, again, I've got guys, I can't have an if I can have an F-250, I won't do it. I can't tow my fifth wheel with it. All I can say is baby steps. And this is a really, really great step, I think. And a really, I think a great step into the idea of an all electric one.
Right.
We have those issues of where to recharge.
Right. Which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So we've got, I think this might be the best equipped vehicle if you like boondocking,
right,
from the perspective of a tow vehicle.
It is. And the thing that's interesting is, the RV market is changing a little bit. Not as many people are buying massive Class A's now because it's just kind of hard to get around and there's limited places for it. But I've been in some beautiful campgrounds that you would never take a huge fifth wheel or a Class A, but you could take, something that's 20, 24 foot, that's, you could tow behind this, and you would have a grand old time. And it would still have the comforts of home. It would have air conditioning. You could run your refrigerator. You could, you have your big screen TV.
One of the things that really helped us on our big Route 66 trip, having that small travel trailer, there were places we could get in where they asked us, how big is your trailer? And we said, well, okay, well, that we can accommodate, but
right, you're
rolling in with a big fifth wheel or Class A diesel pusher. Nope.
It's just a different thing. I grew up camping in a Cox pop-up camper back in the 60s. And then in the, I think late 70s, my dad bought a high-low trailer. Yeah. It was like a 20 couple foot high-low, but the whole thing levered down to clamshell down to, it was hardly taller than his pickup truck. He drove that from Maryland out to California, out to Alaska on the Alaska highway and back. So, he loved it.
I think that is something that you'll see more of is high-low, or there's the Trailmanner, which is kind of the same thing.
Right.
But that's a great segue into talking trailers.
Let's talk trailers, man.
All right. Well, first of all, you had just written an article, so we'll put a link to that about driving that F-150. So there's some great more information there if you're interested in it. Hybrid electric trailer. The first one I have seen is the new Venture Sonic X.
Okay.
I don't know if you've taken a look at it. I wrote a review of it over on RV Travel. And the thing is, it comes with a lot of battery power built right in from the factory. They were smart in how they did this because it still has a propane stove, and it has a gas electric refrigerator, and it has a propane heater that has 4 100-watt solar panels.
Okay.
And a 250 amp hour lithium battery and a 2,000-watt inverter.
Okay.
That's what this series comes with. They're all smaller, but it just shows. So the RV industry is seeing that boondocking has become a much bigger component in travel. And
it is, I believe so.
Yeah, you're seeing more and more of them coming out with really nifty trailers or packages that are set up for boondocking. So that's the first one. And that, I think, is sort of let's call it a hybrid, because it still has a propane system.
Right.
But then there are all electric trailers. The first of which is the Pro-Lite Evo all electric trailer. And that's interesting because it literally is all electric. The Pro-Lite is a company up in Canada making these all electric travel trailers, and that includes the heater, and that's where you lose me.
It's hard to get enough BTUs out of stored electricity for, and batteries for that. And someday in the future, but it ain't now. Not yet.
And not only that, but this one only has, again, 400 watts of flexible solar panels. I am not a fan of flexible solar panels.
They scare me a little bit, but I've got somebody sent me both flex and straight hardback versions of their same ones. I may be doing some tests later this summer.
I have been led to believe the flexible panels fail more quickly than the rigid panels. And from what a few people have said, the reason tends to be most people stick those flexible panels to the roof so there's no ventilation.
It could very well be. Again, I don't consider myself to be a solar panel expert yet, but I'm ramping up. Once you get 10,000 hours in something, then you're an expert, I guess. So I have been playing around and studying with this a fair amount. Right now, I'm just looking at them as input sources to batteries and inverters. And I'm starting to really, really understand hybrid inverters and what you can do with lithium batteries. So solar panels are now the next source. Yeah.
So this thing, as I said, 400 watts of solar. It's got a 3,000-watt inverter.
Right.
And it still only has 250 amp hours of lithium battery.
Right.
So I can't imagine how quickly you're going to go through that if you run the heater, but it's going to be quickly.
Yeah, it'd be a matter of hours, maybe. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's properly balanced.
And they claim you can run the heater and the air conditioner, of course, and all of that. So
I'm not sure. I would have to see that. But all you got to do is start looking at amp hours and kilowatt hours of capacity, and on and on and on and on. And yeah, I don't think so.
So then there's also the Palomino Revolve. There's another electric one, Palomino. Okay. Yeah. And that company is fairly related to the one that you're going to talk about. But again, 4 lithium batteries, along with 4 100-watt solar panels and a 3,000-watt inverter. So that is what is in the Palomino Revolve. And I have reviews of all 3, which we'll link in the show notes. But you have something in your hot hands.
I've had it in my hot hands.
Yeah, since before,
for months
to talk about it.
We have been unfettered.
No, wait a minute. I know. Cliffhanger, right? Well, next week we're going to release part 2 of this video, and we're going to see what Mike has been towing around, which is a future product hint. And then we're also going to talk about towing with an electric vehicle, which Mike has also been doing. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this was interesting, and we'll see you next week. In the meantime, there are discounts, deals, stories, and more at stresslesscamping.com. Come visit us at our virtual campfire. Thank you.